Hello, Discover here to explain our cash back match. Here's how it works. We give you cash back for using your Discover card on the things you were going to buy anyway. Then we match that cash back in your first year. And that's why we call it Cashback Match. Now to recap and say cashback one more time. We match all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year automatically. Discover. Exceptionally common sense. Learn more at discover.com/match. Limitations apply.
Dash in for JCPenney's Super Saturday Sale. It's the last weekend to shop before Christmas. Make room in your sleigh for thousands of doorbusters. Play it smart and fill your cart with 30% off toys. Get double the denim with buy one, get one free Arizona jeans. And slip Yes Please diamonds into her stocking for $22.99 each. Hurry, wrap up the savings. Joy, comfort, peace. JCPenney. Offers valid on select items 12/17 through 12/19. Doorbusters excluded from coupons. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Sports Ethos DFS Today. I am your host, Santino Cacone, and this is your Friday, December 17th edition. We have a nice 8-game slate for you, going up from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have 3 late games, couple middle games, and a couple early games. Pretty nice around here. But as we know, we have an extensive injury report that even now doing this the morning of, likely going to change, likely going to jump back and give you more value there that we didn't know of at the time. With everything going on, especially with everybody in protocols lately, it is crazy time. So you got to definitely keep an eye out on the injury report, on breaking news, starting lineups. Things are changing on a dime here lately. Before we get into it, I want all the listeners to take a moment to follow Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter, the single most dominant basketball and fantasy news feed on earth. Get all your NBA news in one handy Twitter feed. It's faster than the competition and provides more analysis too. Again, that's at Ethos Fantasy BK on Twitter. Follow now. All right. Let's get into this 8-game slate. The first one on the docket, we have the Miami Heat taking on the Orlando Magic in Orlando. We have a 208.5 game total, and the Heat are 4.5-point road favorites. We have Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Caleb Martin, Markieff Morris, Victor Oladipo, all out. Omer Yurtseven, questionable, and Tyler Hero, questionable. On the Magic, we have Brazikis, Carter Williams, Fultz, Isaac, Moore, Suggs, all out. Anthony, Bamba, Harris, all questionable. So a lot to cipher through in the early part of this, in the first game. For the Heat side of the ball, we might not have Tyler Hero. That's going to be a big one. If Tyler Hero misses, we know that Kyle Lowry is going to be the guy here. $7,800 price tag, within reason. I still like that price. That's a solid price tag for him. Still meat left on the bone. He might not hit it, but that's very good price tag and a very good matchup, especially if Tyler Hero's not there. But we get a ton of value if he's not there. And Gabe Vincent, Max Struss, those two guys, KZ Akpala, they don't have a lot of bodies out there. And a lot of those guys are fairly cheap. Duncan Robinson might have to get there, 4,700. I like Vincent the most at 4,900. We know he's going to handle the ball a lot. He's going to play a ton. Someone's got to be a secondary playmaker outside of Kyle Lowry. But PJ Tucker, Dwayne Dedmon, they're still. I prefer Dedmon for 500 more. With Bam out, Dedmon's firmly within the playable territory here. 2 of the last 3 games over 40 fantasy points. The other 2 outside that, not so much, 20 and under. So he's hit or miss, but especially in tournament plays, that's where you want to take a shot at him. This is a good matchup for him. There's just a lot. Max Struss only 3,400, especially if Tyler Hero doesn't play. There's 25 to 30 minutes potentially available for him, and he's only, I mentioned 3,400. Can take a shot there. KZ Akpala, another one. Been pretty solid the last couple games that he's been playing in the rotation. Only 3,200. You can take a chance on him. He has some solid upside if he gets the minutes, but there is a lot to cipher through, especially if Tyler Hero's out. If Tyler Hero's in, I do really like Tyler Hero under 7K. I would go less of Struss, less of Akpala, but still, there's so many people out on this team that we can take chances on most of these guys for their reasonable price tags. On the other side of the ball, similar. We already have no Suggs, and then now we have 3 starters who are questionable in Cole, Bamba, and Harris. 3 starters who are questionable. That might be 4 people who have been starting the majority of games not in this lineup. So there is a lot to cipher through in that scenario on who's in, who's out. Right now, we'll say that all 3 of the starters are in. I don't know if that's going to be, but again, we got to wait till the game time to figure that out. But if Bamba plays, I think that's a good matchup for him. He's only 6,400. Dedmon's not Bam on defense, so it's something to think about. But he only played 12 minutes in the last game before he left, so I'm not 100% sure. I would think he's the one who would be most likely to miss, in my opinion. I think Cole Anthony's likely going to play. And a normally daunting matchup against the Heat isn't as bad because they don't have a lot of the majority of their players. I still don't want to go to him at 7,800, though. If Bamba misses Carter Jr., Francois Wagner, both become squarely in play for me at their solid price tags. I'd go Carter Jr. Because he's going to get a lot more center minutes. I like the matchup there. Terence Ross, if Gary Harris doesn't play, Terence Ross, Chuma Okeke, RJ Hampton, one of those guys likely draws a start. Plays a lion's share of minutes. I prefer Ross because we know he can score, and he's a scoring vacuum over the other 2 guys, and he's not afraid to take all those shots. So that's where I would go. I know he's a little bit pricey up, but I'm looking at Carter Jr. and Ross as my favorite 2 on this team, and Okeke over Hampton at 3,600 if you want to take a shot, especially if he draws a start. He did play 32 minutes in the last one. He only hit 2 of 10 shots, but 32 minutes is very interesting because he rarely hits 30. So if he's going to do that again, I would like to take another chance on him. And Robin Lopez might draw the start at center. If Bamba doesn't play, he started the second half. They're going to play Carter Jr. there a good deal, but Robin Lopez might draw the start, might see a solid amount of time, 20 minutes or so. And if he does, 3,100, he should easily bring back value there. All right, jumping on over to the next game of the night, we have the Golden State Warriors at the Boston Celtics. We have a 215 game total, and the Warriors are 3.5-point road favorites. On the injury report for the Warriors, we have just Klay Thompson and James Wiseman out, and the Celtics, we have just Jabari Parker as out for this one. It's gifting season. No one returns alcohol. So this year, get everyone on your list the gift of beer, wine, and spirits delivered with Drizzly in under 60 minutes. Right now, Drizzly is giving every new customer $5 off their first order. Just use the promo code FAST5 at checkout. So download Drizzly app now or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use the promo code FAST5 for $5 off your first order. And get that delivered in under 60 minutes. Get it when you need it. You can also conveniently shop across stores, so you can choose from a huge selection and get exactly what you want. And you have the benefit of finding out the best deals on what you're looking for, as you can compare prices across those multiple stores. Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits, with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. Drizzly is the #1 app for alcohol delivery. So download the Drizzly app now or go to drizzly.com. Again, that's DRIZLY.com. And use the promo code FAST5 at checkout to get $5 off your first order.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
These two teams are on front ends of a back-to-back, so we'll see if that affects them but likely not. We'll go to the Warriors first. The first, Steph Curry, 11-3. Always got to keep him in mind. He did just break the record. He hasn't had a 50-point game in his last 4. He's due for a blow-up, but he's going to see a lot of Marcus Smart. That's just enough to keep me from going to him heavy. Maybe I'll take some chances on him, but I don't really want to. This team is just humming. I think they're going to put away the Celtics easily. Then he's going to see a ton of Marcus Smart. We know Marcus Smart's not focusing on offense lately because he's shooting terrible the last some odd games. Even more worse than he's shot mostly throughout his career. But he's going to be dogging up Steph Curry as much as possible. So I'm going to leave him alone there. Draymond Green at 6,500. Jordan Poole at 5,700. Make a lot of sense to me. Wiggins somewhat makes sense. I don't think the upside is huge there, but he's just been very, very good on both ends of the ball. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't always translate to the fantasy game, but Jordan Poole, Draymond Green, I think they're in very solid positions. Otto Porter Jr. missed the last one. He shouldn't miss this one unless we'll see, because they are on the back or front end of a back-to-back. Maybe they give him the front game off later on. We'll see about that. If that does happen, then guys like Bielitsa, Damian Lee, Juan Toscano Anderson become in play more for me, Andre Iguodala. But until then, I'm going to leave all those guys alone. I would prefer Porter Jr. if he does play, but we'll see. Green, Poole, very good matchups, very solid price tags. They'll be in my player pool for this one. On the other side of the ball, Tatum is only 9K in this one. We saw him drop off with the return of Jaylen Brown, but we saw him put up 62 fantasy points in that last one. I do think the matchup is rough, but that is a very solid price tag for a guy like him, even with Brown. And that's just a really, really solid price tag there. I think we can firmly look at him and keep him in the player pool because he's not 10K, he's only 9K. I don't prefer Brown. I do prefer Tatum for 500 more. Keep him in there. Rob Williams, he's under 5K again. That makes sense to me. Don't love the matchup. Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, whoever's playing in there has been really solid, but under 5K. At some point, he should see 25 to 30 minutes. Hasn't been doing that, but he is a per minute guy. If this is the matchup that he does, then that only benefits him, but only takes some small shots on him in tournaments. That's likely it. I don't really want to go attack the Warriors too much. I just think Tatum is a very solid price tag for the superstar level talent he is. All right, jumping on over to the next game at 7:30 Eastern Standard Time, we have the Denver Nuggets taking on the Atlanta Hawks. We have a 223 game total, and the Hawks are 4-point home favorites. On the injury report, we have Bogdanovich, Hill, Hunter, Jalen Johnson, Skylar Mays all out. Onyeka Okongwu gonna make his return. He's probable. On the Nuggets side of the ball, we have Dozier, J. Michael Green, Murray, Marcus Howard, Porter Jr. All out, and Austin Rivers is probable. He should be back off of the health and safety protocols. All right, we're going to jump on over to start with Denver and Jokic. I'd much prefer to pay up for Jokic than Curry in this one. Jokic, he's just been super consistent. Curry's been awesome, and the team has been crushing, so he doesn't have to do it all. Jokic has been awesome, and he's pretty much has to do a lot of it because there's so many injuries on this team. and he is also the reigning MVP. Makes a lot of sense. Just look at his last 4 games: 61, 73, 75, 63. Before that, 72, 62. Last 6 games, nothing under 60 points. So he's hitting value even at that absurd $12,000 price tag. He's just been super efficient. He will be firmly in my player pool because of the safe floor that he has. And I prefer him if I'm going to pay up to that price tag. Outside of him, Will Barton should be back. Aaron Gordon's good. Marcus Morris, or Monte Morris, I apologize. They're all been pretty solid lately. The price tags do reflect that, though. I do think Aaron Gordon, when people are out, makes a lot of sense. He's been playing really well. But the price tags are where they are, and this is a good matchup. So I don't really want to attack anyone outside of Jokic that in that mid-tier range. But Campazzo at 3,900 would be the next guy that I'm looking at. Under 4K, he has over 22 fantasy points in the last 4 games. He's going to be playing a ton of minutes with all these injuries, and the backcourt depth that's been down. Austin Rivers might be back, but how much can he actually play? He just missed a week and a half, 2 weeks of, almost 3 weeks in health and safety protocol. So where is his conditioning right now? So I don't think he's going to be coming back and playing 30 minutes. Campazzo at under 30, at 3,900, under 4K makes a lot of sense. So does Bones at 32. I do prefer Campazzo. He's just more consistent, gets more minutes. If you really want to, Jeff Green, but I just don't think the fantasy game translates except for a couple hits there. But Jokic, Campazzo are the 2 guys I'm looking at the most on this side of the ball. And on the other side of the ball, speaking of playing fantastic basketball lately, Trae Young, 10-2. I think that's a reasonable price tag. I didn't go off last game. They handily beat the Magic. But before that, 4 straight games of at least 55 fantasy points. That is nice. And then 5 out of the last 6 at least 55. A couple over 60 in that game. So I think he's a guy you can look at in that price range if you don't want to pay up all the way for Jokic. This is a good run it back. Nuggets are a slower team, playing solid defense, but they just have so much injuries, and Trae Young's been playing fantastic. It's likely the most I'm looking at. I think everybody has a solid price tag in that mid-tier range. I would drop down to Gallinari just because the revenge game, but Cam Reddish is back, so that dings him a little bit. And speaking of Cam Reddish, 3,500 is a solid price tag. Guys seeing mid to high 20s at 3,500, back-to-back games over 21 fantasy points. That is a cheap value play that we can look at there. And Okongwu, I don't know if I'm ready to do it game 1, but 3,100 if he can stay that, and we can see what his role is, and he looks healthy. That's going to be a guy that I'm going to go back to. They need him. He started to show his breakout at the end of last season and in the playoffs, so definitely keep an eye on him. If Clint Capella misses for some odd reason, then I don't care if it's first game back of Okongwu seeing 20 minutes, 3,100, definitely in play for me. All right, jumping on over to the 4th game. We have the first game at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Milwaukee Bucks taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. We have where did it go? Oh, I don't know why it's all the way on the bottom. 217 game total, and the Bucks are 2.5 point road favorites. Yeah, it's very weird. They have it listed below the 10 p.m. games, which didn't see that. I don't know why. And the Bucks, we have Giannis out, DiVincenzo, Lopez, Wes Matthews, Semi Ojeleye, Bobby Portis, all out. Middleton probable, and Thanasis doubtful. Rough for them. And on the Pelicans side of the ball, we have Kyra Lewis, Dalton Holmes, and Zion all out. We'll start with the Bucks. I mean, everybody's out for them. We can squarely look at Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton under 7K if he's ready to go. He's probable in this one. He hasn't been the greatest, but under 7K with no Giannis against the Pelicans, I mean, I expect his ownership to be heavy. In cash games, I definitely want him. In tournament games, maybe I'll pivot, but it's still, he should crush that price tag in this game. And Drew Holiday, 8K. I prefer Middleton at $1,200 cheaper, but Drew Holiday 8K in this matchup against his former team is also squarely in play as a great play. We see Pat Connaughton at 5,200. Decent. I don't really want to go to him there. I think he can put up over 30, especially in this matchup, but I do think we have other options, so I don't need to go to him there. He'll just be an option for me. Grayson Allen, more shots are coming his way. Hasn't been the greatest, not like he was in the beginning of the season, but at only 4,300 without Giannis, can look at him. Jordan Nwora, DeMarcus Cousins, Mama Kusevi. I can't say his name at great. All these guys are in play. There's no Bobby Portis. Cousins won't get thrown to the Lions' den. I probably play minimal minutes. That's why I like Mama K a little bit better. But Jordan Nwora should be playing a lot too, especially if Thanasis doesn't play. That just opens up minutes for this guy, and we know the per-minute guy he is. So if Thanasis doesn't play, I'm looking right at Jordan Nwora at 3,300. If he does play, I think both of them are in play for me. It's just there's so much opportunity to go around with no Giannis, no Portis in the front court, no Lopez in the front court. I'll throw him in there even though he hasn't played since beginning of the season. But those two guys are squarely in play, getting a ton of front court minutes. Mama K is okay, but those two guys are much better at just barely above his price tag. And then you're looking at the big dogs in Holiday and Middleton. I think it's fairly easy to wrap Milwaukee's value there. And on the other side of the ball, with all of these front court guys out, J-Val becomes very intriguing to me. There's, like I mentioned, no Giannis, no Lopez, no Portis. It's a lot of front court depth. Their three main guys in the front court are not playing. That's a lot of size that's out there. J-Val hasn't been playing the greatest. 4 of the last 5 over 40, but we want more if we're going to play him in this one. But that is an enticing matchup for me. Brandon Ingram has been playing great, but the matchup that we might see there for J-Val, I tend to go his way because of that. Outside of that, Josh Hart, 5,500. Out of those three guys, Hart, Walker, Graham, I prefer him. He just does so much more. And if his shot's not falling, he's still going to play hard defense, get some steals, maybe a block or two, get rebounds, we know, be a playmaker. So I prefer him over the other two guys, even though Walker is like $1,300 cheaper. Graham's a couple $100 cheaper, but I prefer him. Herb Jones, playing a lot, doing a lot of things. Another option for a 4K and under. Don't trust him though. He's more of a tournament guy, and that's likely it for now. Don't need to go too heavy. The backup center is intriguing, whether it's Hernan Gomez or it's Jackson Hayes, but they keep flip flopping. So we'll see. Maybe Hayes gets back into it because he's been pretty solid in his limited minutes the last couple games, but. Yeah, I'm mainly looking at J-Val, Josh Hart. All right. Before we get to the next game, we have a brand new daily fantasy partner at Sports Ethos, Thrive Fantasy. Prop up with Thrive Fantasy on their mobile app or at thrivefantasy.com. Use code ETHOS when you sign up to get a 100% deposit match bonus on your first deposit up to $100 plus either 2 or 4 free game tickets. To play, pick player props on the biggest names playing every night. Score points when your props hit. And the players with the most points win a share of the nightly prize money. And check out our Sports Ethos DFS team or podcast for advice on winners. Again, that code is ETHOS over at thrivefantasy.com. All right, we have the next game. We have the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Utah Jazz. We have a 220 game total, and the Jazz are 11.5 point home favorites for this one. On the injury report, we have Zach Collins out, Lonnie Walker questionable, and Azubuike and Jared Butler out and questionable for the Jazz. not much. Out of all the games, this is easily going to be the lightest injury report that I'm going to say for now. On the Spurs side of the ball, we can look right in the backcourt. Murray, White. This is a tough matchup, though. While Murray's been playing great, kind of sliding down a little bit the last couple games, while White is starting to pick things up. I prefer White here. I'm not going to spend near 10K against the Jazz. We know the Jazz are fantastic on defense, but I don't really love White at his near 7K price tag against the Jazz either. So I'm probably going to lean away from both of them. Pirtle is normally a guy that I do like. Don't really want to attack him here either. I'm not going to have, to be honest, much exposure here. Devin Vassell at 4K is one guy I'm keeping an eye on. He's played low 20s minutes the last 3 games. We know he was playing upper 20s, mid or low 30s for a while there. So I'll keep an eye on that. But for now, Lonnie Walker would make more sense if Lonnie Walker misses, Vassell would get those extra minutes, so that would make more sense. But for now, I'm pretty much just going to stay away from the Spurs. And going on to the other side of the ball, we see a near or 11.5 spread at home for the Jazz. Don't really want to go Mitchell at 8-4. I would prefer to jump up to Tatum at 9K. I think that's just a really solid price tag. Very good matchup for Mitchell and the boys here, but I think that we can lean off of him. Rudy Gobert, Jakob Poeltl, pretty much similar players, very talented defenders. 2 of the best defenders in the league per metrics when they're on the court. So don't really want to go after him for 83 either. Mike Conley, I prefer at 5-4. I think that makes a lot of sense. Not the greatest of upside. Might not even see 30 minutes. He hasn't in the last 4 games. They've won handedly. So if that happens again, he's not going to see it. But if it's a somewhat competitive game, he should see 30 minutes. And 5-4, he will beat that price tag if he can see 30 minutes. If not, if you don't think it's going to be too close, Jordan Clarkson right there at 4-5. He's going to get a lot of the minutes that Mike Conley doesn't see. So those are 2 guys that I am looking at the most. Bogdanovich, not a bad price tag for him, but I think Conley and Clarkson, however you see this game going, is the way where you should go. And they both could bring back value, and they can play together. So I like both of them here, and those are the 2 guys that I'm mainly looking at. If you want to go per minute upside, Hassan Whiteside, if you do think this game is going to be a blowout, he saw 20 minutes in the last 2 games, has over 68 fantasy points. So if you do think this game's a blowout, Hassan Whiteside makes a ton of sense. Even in 19 minutes, he can bring back 35 fantasy points. All right, jumping on over to the next game, the first game at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the Memphis Grizzlies taking on the Sacramento Kings. Before I start, this game may get canceled. We see the Kings already have a ton of people in protocols. If they get more and more, it could possibly be not enough players. I don't think so, because the Nets were able to play with no one. So I don't think they're going to cancel games, but just keep that in the back of your mind. We have a 225 game total, and the Grizzlies are 5-point road favorites. They are on fire. 9-1 in their last 10 since they lost Ja. And one of those games is a 73-point game. It's just been incredible. A 73-point win. On the injury report, we have for the Grizzlies, Brandon Clark, Sam Merrill, Ja, Zaire Williams, all out. Aldama as questionable. The Kings, Bagley, Davis, Lewis King, all out. And then we have Fox as doubtful, Holmes is doubtful, Len as doubtful. They're all in the health and safety protocols. They're not going to play. Tyrese Halliburton, questionable. Mitu, questionable. So a ton of guys. On the Grizzlies side of the ball, I honestly don't know. I don't know if this game's going to be competitive enough for a Jaren Jackson Jr. to play 30, for a Bane to play 30, for a Brooks. I really need to see what else happens with the Kings before I can throw people in here. And it starts at 10, so it's a tough one. With that said, I guess D'Anthony Melton at 4,700 with everybody out, I can go to, so I don't. He should be playing if it's a blowout. Kyle Anderson, decent price tag, 5,100. Yeah, it's very tough. I think a lot of these guys are in great matchups. This is a fantastic matchup, high-paced game, 225 game total. We know these guys are going to run up and down the court. No Holmes makes the defense even worse for the Kings, who aren't good to begin with. Brooks and Bain, we know that the Kings struggle against shooting guards for the last some odd years anyway. They don't have their head coach either, the Kings. So honestly, everybody's in a great position here. But the fact that they keep that injury list might pile on and pile on and pile on, it's very hard to know if any of these guys are going to play 30 minutes. Even though the Grizzlies are missing people of their own, like John, Clark, two guys firmly in the rotation there. So I'm going to attack them for now. We'll see what happens pregame and as the day goes on and the news rolls out. If I'm going to attack them from now, I'll go after the cheaper guys. Like I'll go after Tyus Jones at 5.5, Kyle Anderson, DeAnthony Melton, and those three I'll pay attention to the most for now. Steven Adams a little bit, but I don't think they're going to have to exert him too much. Xavier Tillman might play extra minutes at 3,200. Guy's is awesome if he can get 25 minutes. So that's where I'm looking at now. Again, things could change because this is a volatile game right now. On the other side of the ball, yeah, take your pick. Fox, Holmes, Bagley, Davis, Len, Medu, all out, not going to play. Halliburton is questionable. So if Halliburton plays, yeah, 5'8" makes obviously in play. Harrison Barnes, Buddy Hield, Tristan Thompson, Davion Mitchell. All of you guys are squarely in play, all five of those guys. Jones might play, might be the backup center here. Makes some sense. Medu, if he plays, 3,700. Nobody is priced over 6K that is going to play. So as long as a Halliburton plays, love him. If he doesn't, Davion Mitchell, love him at 3,600. Tristan Thompson, 38. He should start here. Medu probably going to get back to being a starter at 37. Barnes, 57. Hield, 51. He's going to be the leading shot taker. Might take 20 shots in this game. Yeah, continue to watch the injury report. Maybe there's a false positive or something, and maybe a Fox or a Len plays, but I don't know. We might not even have Halliburton or Meadows, so there might be a random like a Jameis Ramsey, Robert Woodard might find themselves in the starting lineup, and I like those two guys. This is a hard game to bag for now, but if you're going to set your lineup early, we know right now Barnes, Hield, Thompson, Davion Mitchell, those four should start. Like all four of them. Well, I shouldn't say Thompson, because if Medu starts, maybe he starts at center, and Halliburton. If Halliburton starts, maybe Davion doesn't play. But those four for now, I can feel very comfortable with, even if a Halliburton and Medu play. And then the rest, we just gotta keep an eye out for. All right, jumping on to the next game, we have the Los Angeles Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. We have a 224 game total, and it is a pick'em. On the injury report for the Lakers, we have Ariza, Bradley, Horton Tucker, Howard, Monk, Nunn, Westbrook, all out. AD and LeBron are probable. Another team hit with the health and safety protocols. With all of these guys out, Westbrook, AD make a ton. LeBron, AD make a ton of sense. There's no Westbrook, so that cuts off one head of a three-headed, high-priced monster attack there. LeBron, AD make a ton of sense. AD is only 9.4. I mentioned Tatum, and I love Tatum at 9K. This is an even better matchup. He's only 9.4. AD hasn't been playing as great, though. He's very lately, but this is a good matchup, and I like him. I do prefer, if I had to go to the two, I'd rather just spend $1,000 extra and go LeBron. LeBron's going to be in prime position. He's playing prime LeBron, and he's much more consistent with the safer floor. So love him. And outside of him, it's a lot of who knows. You don't have most of your guys. Austin Reeves, 3,300, ton of sense. Carmelo Anthony likely going to start here. Wayne Ellington, 3-4. Bazemore should get a ton of minutes in this one again. All these guys are in play. Bazemore played 15 in the last one, but there's more minutes opening up. Austin Reeves, probably the best of the bunch at 3,300. We know he's going to play. Like him there. And Wayne Ellington, if you think a lot of people are going to go after Reeves after that game winner, Ellington also, he put up 24 points in the last game, so he makes a lot of sense. We'll see if anybody gets ruled back in, but if not, I mean, Reeves, Melo, Ellington, a lot of value to be had here. A lot of value. DeAndre Jordan, he's going to play too. I didn't even mention him at 3K, bare minimum. Likely going to play here. Probably not 20 minutes, but maybe. What if there could be more people that get added? We don't know. This is again, very volatile situation with everything that's going on. So keep an eye on that. But Reeves, Ellington, Melo, a lot of value there, and I like LeBron. On the other side of the ball, for the Wolves, I don't know if I said their injury report because they don't have one. And that is something that is rare right now in the NBA. That said, Cat 9-6 does make sense. Russell 7-6 revenge game makes a lot of sense. I like Edwards too, 8K. I prefer Russell going against his former team at 7-6 of the three, likely. Don't think it's going to, for the price tag, I should say. I think Cat will lead the team in fantasy points, but Russell per dollar makes a lot of, I like that too. And then you're looking at guys like Beverly, 4,700, pretty solid. But to me, I'm not really going to go after value here. I'm just going to stick right up to the top and then leave the rest alone. There's so much value on this slate for non-healthy teams that what's the point of fitting them in Minnesota right now? All right, and then we're going to jump on over to the last game of the night. We have at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as well, the Charlotte Hornets taking on the Portland Trailblazers in a 228.5 game total, which is the highest of the night. Those last three 10 o'clock games, 1, 2, and 3 in the highest game totals of the night. And the Blazers are 2-point home favorites. On the injury report, we have McCollum, Snell, Zeller out. Dennis Smith Jr., questionable. On the Hornets, we have LaMelo as questionable. They're getting a lot of guys back. The Hornets are. We don't know where they stand, though, in their conditioning. If LaMelo plays, it's going to be tough to throw him in there at his $9,500 price tag. I was hoping he would be like 87 or 9, closer to 9K, I should say, 9.2, 9.3, because we don't know if he's ready for his 35 to 40 minutes in this. He's missed 16 days, over 2 weeks in health and safety protocols. I don't know where his conditioning is, so it's going to be tough to play him. But this is a fantastic matchup. So I gotta, I think long and hard, wait for the pregame report, see if he's ready to go his full complement of minutes. If they're going to ease him back in, can't do it. If they aren't, if he's ready to go, a lot of guys I just mentioned, AD, Tatum, he might top them all at 9,500 if he is ready to go, because this is a fantastic matchup for him to run wild. Outside of him, Kelly, Oubre, Bridges, Hayward, they're all pretty similarly price tagged. I've been getting a lot of exposure to all three without LaMelo in here, but now that LaMelo is back for this one, I'll have some less exposure there. Still great matchups for them all, but I would attack Hayward the most as I've been because of the cheaper price tag. And I don't think we have to really force it there. Miles Plumlee, or Mason Plumlee, who I always say his brother. Mason Plumlee played 23 minutes in the last one against the Spurs. I do like him here. I think they'll have to play him a little bit more. PJ Washington shouldn't need to get 35 minutes or so. And at 4,100, I like Mason Plumlee in this one. And that's likely it. LaMelo, Plumlee, two guys coming off the COVID list. Changes everything because the team is back. And Hayward would be where I'm getting the most exposure to. On the other side of the ball, we have once again Lillard, 9-3. Another guy cheaper. Hasn't been playing the greatest. This is going to be a fantastic matchup for him. But that injury still seems like it's lingering. It's hard to fully trust him here. Norman Powell, though, at 6,300, still making a lot of sense. He is the number 2 guy easily. And if Lillard is slowed down any bit, he becomes the number 1 guy. So it makes a lot of sense. Nurkic at 7.3, I like, but I'd prefer Powell for a grand cheaper. I know they're different positions, but that's a lot of money and a guy who should have higher upside. Nance Jr., Nasir Little, Robert Covington, 3 value-ish guys that I like. Nance, now that he's getting high 20s, low 30s minutes, that's a fantastic spot to be in for him. He's been a very good per-minute guy when he does play. Nasir Little, we know, is getting a ton of minutes there as is, but him and Covington are kind of like the same person lately. Getting a lot of minutes, not producing a ton, but they're more GPP plays for me. But on this side of the ball, I think Powell, Nance are my favorite plays. Little, Covington, right there. Simons, possibly. He's getting 4 of the last 5 games over 30 minutes. 5.2 is a little higher than I would like, but he still has some meat left on the bone to beat that price tag, though I'd prefer a Nance cheaper. All right. That does it for today's edition of DFS Today. Before you guys go, I just want to let you know, remind you all to use coupon code HoopBall20 at manscaped.com for 20% off your order and free shipping. And also to check out our pals at mybookie.ag. Use code HoopBall on the 3rd page of sign up to unlock deposit match bonuses there as well. But thank you guys again for tuning in. We will catch you again tomorrow. Good luck. Hopefully we don't have the crazy news that has been coming through later in the day, altering the slate as usual lately. But definitely keep an eye on out for this. And if things change, be ready to adapt. That's the best advice you can have. All right. Take care. Have a good one. Peace.
Hello, this is Discover, and we take customer service very seriously. We know that if you have a question or concern about your credit card, that's a serious matter, and you need to talk to a real person about it. So we offer around-the-clock access to seriously talented representatives in the USA. Again, it's a serious endeavor. The only funny thing about it is Bob. If you call us and Bob answers, you're in for a treat. Get 100% US-based customer service and talk to a real person day or night. Discover. Exceptionally common sense.
Now is the best time to start working at Amazon. They are offering sign-on bonuses up to $3,000 and hourly pay up to $22 per hour. You'll bring home a great weekly paycheck, and many jobs come with benefits that start on your first day. That's higher pay, sign-on bonuses, benefits day 1. And you'll be part of a safe and inclusive workplace ranked among the best in the world. Go to amazon.com/apply to start your job search today. Amazon is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.